What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Burndown YouTube channel. We only have a little bit of time today. It is after hours as usual, and we've got hip-hop dancing this evening. So I'm gonna do as much as I can, but this is kind of the point to share this with you guys, is little by little, you know, an hour a day goes a long way. So let's jump right on into it. If you watched the last video, we cut out a hole here, and then the turbo sits behind there, right? And then this is still just kind of roughed in. You can see that it's ugly, but it is a circular shape. And then we came over and we cut this, and that was kind of where we left off, right? Well, we started looking at it, and I put this dude over, you know, and it fits, look at that, it'll bolt on, fits like so, right? And then we got our hole there. Well, we've got a lot of room. Like if I, you know, bring this on the side, you can kind of see it. We have a decent amount of room, and then we have more room behind that, right, where the turbo goes. So I started looking at this thing, and I was like, man, you know, I was thinking comb filter and all that other thing, but I was like, people were talking about like a guillotine style filter. So the Devin Vanderhoof dude, he has one, and he just stuffs it in there and pulls it out, right? And I kind of was looking, and I put this over there, and then I saw how much room we kind of had going on, and I was like, you know, it'd be rad is if we had like a drop-in style filter. So I started kind of thinking about that. So me and the boy yesterday went and we looked at all the filters that they had on the shelf at O'Reilly, and I randomly opened this box and I pull it out, and wouldn't you know, it is not a square, and it's pink on the edge, which is like, you know, my flesh color filter over here. But if I take this and put it over the top, you know, this kind of fits our needs, I would, you know, imagine. And the depth wise, I think it may kind of do the deed. So my thinking was, if I can modify this somehow to accept this, ta-da, right? And then this guy would go over the top and kind of bolt down. So I could probably spend more time and maybe find something a bit closer, or something that was square, but I'm just gonna roll and rock with this. And then they actually make this in a K&N, so I figure if I get this to fit, so we won't have flesh color stuff showing, or I could just spray paint the edge, I guess, when the filter is on. I mean, I guess it's technically not even that terrible, right? But we're gonna mess with this a bit, and we're gonna try to come up with something to slide in and have a drop-in filter. So the idea would be, you know, this would obviously be on the car, and then you would take this off, push this in, and then just put this back on, and that would hold the filter in place, you know, and you would just have a filter here instead of a headlight on that side. And then race mode, you would just undo 4 screws, because it's just 4 little screws that hold it in, and then you just slide this guy out and then just bolt this back down, and that should be an open pathway to said turbo. So that's the plan. Let me know if there's an easier way to do it. We're gonna start cutting this thing up, and I'm sure somebody's gonna have a genius idea after I get way too involved in this. And I thought about it before we kind of went down this rabbit hole, but I think long term this is a better bet for what we're trying to do. It's user friendly. They have a K&N version. It can be washable, serviceable. I'll be able to see it. I can look at it if the thing's crusty. So I'm hoping this extra effort is worth, you know, the juice is worth the squeeze. But let me kind of hack this thing up and show you guys what I'm thinking, and maybe some steps along the way. But it's just sheet steel, so we're gonna make a big mess of it before we put it back together and make it decent. All right, so we started chopping this thing up, right? So the first thing to figure out is placement. We have the center divider. I have the headlamp here, so we can't go further than that portion there, right? So set it here. I have little screws over there too. I can screw the guy down, but just so you guys can see, right, this is this center line here. We can't be any further that way, so this is our edge, right? And then obviously we have our headlight there. So what I did was kind of cut stuff out. We eyeballed the mamma jamma, so it kind of cruises in, and then if you go to put this on, you know, we're kind of there, but the problem we have is depth, right? So this needs to be sunk in because essentially, see where this bolts down here? It's right there. So this needs to be in line with that, actually a little bit behind it or in front of it. So when you tighten it down, it'll seal against this edge here, push everything in. It's kind of what I'm thinking. So I can't cut more of this because I'll cut it off, and this thing mounts here, right? So I left enough structure that it's still in shape, but what we're gonna do now is we need more depth on it. So I'm gonna make a strap portion. We'll clean this off. We'll make a strap portion that goes from here to this side, you know, weld that, bam, and then do the same on here, right? Because we don't really need this dip. So we'll figure out that portion, we'll weld a strap that goes across from here to here, and that'll hold that, and we can get rid of this section here. So that way it can go deeper. So I'm gonna keep cutting it up, and again, we're just gonna kind of scab this thing, and once I make it, or I have it to where this fits in, you know, we've got a square portion where it'll kind of live. The next thing will be to figure out how to connect it to said turbo, so it has to be round on the backside. So I just want to kind of get a shape, but I need to leave it in one piece, so to speak, because this is where it mounts and that's how it fits in there. I don't want to cut this free because then you're dealing with two pieces and trying to get it back together. I'm gonna have one headlight pointing to the moon, and we don't want to do all that. So we'll make a strap portion, and that'll keep everything lined up. And then once everything looks real good, we'll make sure that we weld everything up and everything fits properly and nicely, so that when we bolt it down, there's enough structure so this headlight again doesn't wander or do its own deal. Here we are on afternoon number 2 of the headlight bucket debacle, and I'll show you guys kind of where I'm at. It's pretty much where I left off in the video previously, but also I watched Happel's video today where he's out there working on his motor, the L33 for his new project, and I laughed because right in the beginning of the video he's talking about everybody lying to themselves and saying they don't have time to do stuff. Well, here's another fun one for you, and I'm out here because of your video. So it's actually raining, and it's supposed to quit today, and it's not major rain, it's just like piddly rain. You can probably hear it on the mic now, so I'll show you guys. And it's enough that doing sheet metal in the rain is kind of stupid, but I figured we were trying to set an example over here. So I'm going to continue with this thing. So where we left off was I kind of cut a square looking portion out. Oh, we're going to go on this way, right? Like so. And then I've determined, see where the screw goes in? This is the center line. Essentially, that's kind of the center line for this guy, right? Something like that. If you look at it, maybe we're over a little way, even more. But ultimately, this thing will sink in like that, bloop, and then we'll put this on it, boop, and it should kind of do one of those deals, right? The problem I have is it doesn't sink down like you saw, and if I cut this off, then that frees that up. So while this is still attached, you know, you can see I left this guy. I've made this strap. We're gonna run a strap across, and I was kind of looking at that yesterday, and we got cut short by some hip-hop dancing action. So I'm gonna struggle with this a bit. I'll kind of show you guys as we kind of go. It's probably gonna look really ugly and hokey until we finish it, but we have to get everything where it goes to get it done. Also, I ordered a couple things, and this is a 6-inch inlet on the turbo that I have on the outer ring. It has one of those things to I don't know what it's called, but the inlet of the turbo isn't 6-inch. It has a ring like around it for the, I don't know, there's a technical term, but anyway, so that's not the actual opening. They probably could have went with the smaller opening, but for whatever reason the thing is 6. I thought it was 5, and I'm glad I measured, but I have a silicone coupler coming. I have a piece of ducting, like this metal ducting piece, so that'll give me a circle that we can kind of weld into this mamma jamma when we're ready. But I'm gonna keep rolling today. I just want to let you guys know that we are out here in the rain. So this is the start of afternoon number 2 on the old headlight bucket project. So sometimes you just gotta have a little faith and jump off a ledge, right? So I just tacked this piece on. I got the straight edge by putting the trim on there. So when the trim's on, that's a nice straight edge. You can see we're a little flimsy, guys, but this guy will go in something like that. Obviously we got to make a cut down there and cut it in, but before we get too froggy with it, this was a piece down here and it came up, right, for the headlight portion, so that was kind of impeding my flow. So we just went ahead and got rid of it, and then you can see, so we'll be able to take a straight piece from there, connect it to over here, and that'll give us some more rigidity, and we can cut that piece through. And like I said, we're just going to make this little skeleton deal where this filter will rest where I'm hoping it will live, and then we can build more structure into it. I still have to have a circular piece and a piece to connect the turbo and everything on the back, but right now we're just worried about making a spot for the filter to fit in that's nice, and it's going to come up again to all the edges, basically box this in is the plan. So when this is all done, this should be a receptacle for this guy. That's what we're shooting for. So yeah, I know it looks awesome, but we'll keep rolling. Once again, it is getting dark, but we made good progress. So this is all just tacked in place, and this is pretty much the idea. We're gonna have to finagle it, and then I'm gonna have to put more structure and stuff in there, but this is gonna go in here somehow. We'll talk nicely to it, see if we can get it to go in there. I still have to trim it all up and everything, but I'll just show you guys so you get the idea. So that dog would go in there, you know, we'd have it set, and I'm gonna have edges and stuff around it, and then you would just put your guy on there like so and throw these in. Obviously this would be in the car, so I would just be putting this trim piece on, and we have 4 little screws, and screw them all down like so. And then we'd also obviously have a headlight. You know what I'm trying to show you guys, but this was my idea, and I think we're gonna be able to pull it off. I'm still in the camp of we should be successful. You can see a little bit of the edge of this guy, you know, it's poking through here, so we'll have to address that. And I think what I'll do is the piece that this fits in, because you can kind of squish it, I'll make sure that it's tight. So this has to come in because this is where the trim hooks on. There's a little guy that sits behind here, right? So we have to make sure that we have enough room for that guy. And then I've got a headlight over here, so we might be able to scoot over just a little bit more depending. But all in all, I think the idea is pretty well there. And the execution is coming along, and I don't know, hopefully it works out. I think so far so good. And then depth wise, this is as deep as you can go till you hit the next piece, which is like the cross member in the car. But I left these longer, and then you can see we still have room on the back as well. So see, this is taller than that, so this is basically as deep as this thing needs to go. So we'll be able to make a piece that welds in here that has a circle, and I have a piece coming because I ordered, it's actually for ducting in like housework, and it already has the square with the circle chingadera. So I'm thinking when we get that, that's why I didn't want to get too froggy with this. We'll put that in there and figure out how to weld that all in. So essentially this thing should have structure. So we should have a 6-inch. We should be able to stick the silicone piece from the turbo to the back of this guy, and then that filter should, in theory, just pop in and out on the front, and then we'll look like heroes, like we had a great idea. My boy did a great job helping me find filters. We went through every filter they had, and I grabbed this one on a hunch going, it might work, and turns out, I don't know if we could have done a better job. Things build itself. I don't know. We'll see how we go, but I'm pretty happy with that, aside from like the flesh color filter deal. But hey, you know, you can't win them all. Until next time, you guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, share. Till next time, I'm out.